Hello, this is Jean Marie Ward for Buzzy Magazine. With me today is best-selling, award-winning author Christie Meierz. Welcome, Christie. Glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Farron's War, the first book in your new Exiles of the Drift series, focuses on a character you originally planned to kill off. How did he persuade you into giving him a second chance?
Oh, he's such a charming rogue. When I was writing him as a villain in the third book, I just started to fall in love with him, even though he's probably one of the nastiest characters I've ever written.
Mm-hmm.
He's not as nasty as the villain of his book.
Well, that's good. I would like to think that, there is somebody out there more villainous than he, especially, all things considered, with this particular novel.
But he was doing everything he did, even though it was bad. He was doing everything he did for what he considered to be the best reasons.
Mm-hmm.
For his people, for his planet.
Yes.
He just didn't quite agree with everybody else on what those were.
And now he's trying to kill his wife before somebody else kills her. Did I get that right?
Yeah. First, anyway. He thinks that she betrayed him.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the third book, he thinks that she betrayed him and she's the reason why he's in exile. And when he finds out she's come after him, he wants to kill her.
Mm-hmm. But of course, things are never what they seem, are they?
No.
Be an awfully short book if they were. You do realize that your readers will think you're going too easy on him, in contrast to what you did to one of your heroines. What prompted you to take the character of Laura Howard and essentially remake her?
Because I wanted to tell her story,
mm-hmm.
but you can't. Where she ended in the previous book was essentially a happily ever after, and you can't begin a story on a happily ever after. So I had to shake her up a little.
Mm-hmm. And this is your first book series.
That's in Tales of Talari Space, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of her story is in the second book,
mm-hmm.
and then her story is pretty much told in the fall, the third book,
mm-hmm.
which takes the amnesia trope and turns it on its head.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I wanted to do was take that trope and do it right, because what too many people think of amnesia is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That you forget who you are.
Yeah.
And that's not what usually happens. People usually do not forget who they are. So
what do they forget?
They can forget big chunks of their past. They lose memories, but they never lose their self-identity, or
mm-hmm.
very seldom lose their self-identity.
So they always remember their name, but not necessarily that they did A, B, C, D?
Yeah, usually. This is what this is based on a real thing that happened in my family. My brother had a head injury.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost a lot. He couldn't remember his childhood. He couldn't remember a lot of his early adulthood. But he never forgot who he was, or who I was, or who our parents were.
Mm-hmm.
He just couldn't remember what we did when we were little.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, tremendously, I would imagine. And so you wanted to bring this experience into your fiction because it wasn't told right.
Exactly.
Very valid reason. And very good for the rest of us who only see amnesia and, oh my God, they got conked on the head and suddenly they don't remember anything.
That doesn't happen. And it even more doesn't happen that you get conked on the head again and your memory comes back.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen either.
So you just have to live with the loss and recover.
Basically, yeah.
That is really tough. Obviously, you feel this deeply, so I guess that's partially where the emphasis on empathy comes from. But it's still, to me, a very interesting ability to give an alien race. What prompted you to go in that direction with the Talari?
The reason is still hidden.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reason for it. It was built into them by the benefactors for a very specific reason that I haven't revealed yet.
Mm-hmm. So you've got this all, but what prompted you to look in that direction? We won't ask you about the fiction. We will not ask you about why they in their universe are that way. But what made you think empathy was the right power to give them?
It's less powerful than telepathy. And I was hoping to make a people that had very little crime because of it. I wanted people to understand each other, at least on the surface, in a way that we don't here, because I think if we would all just sit down and talk to each other and try to understand each other, it'd be a lot less crime and war and all these other things.
And did it work out that way once you set it on paper or on pixels?
You know, the ruling caste is very ambitious. You know, they do war with each other. But people, just ordinary people, they're pretty peaceful. They don't have any reason to. And everybody knows what you're up to if you're up to no good. They can tell.
And still doesn't stop some people, though.
It doesn't stop fearing.
No. Oh, he's a bad guy. I can tell. Oh, but he's going to do it anyway.
Oh, he's a bastard.
And you love him.
And I love him. He turns into a sexy beast in Aaron's work.
Yeah. Well,
he's still a nasty person at the beginning of the novel.
And I presume, no spoilers, that his basic character doesn't change.
He's not going to be a good guy at the end.
No.
He does manage to achieve a little bit of redemption, but he's never going to be a nice guy.
And we wouldn't want him any other way, would we? Oh, dear. Well, you know, you have a rather interesting trajectory as a writer. How did you go from raising sheep to writing science fiction?
Well, the raising sheep part ended quite a few years ago, actually. We raised sheep for something around 10 years, I think it was, and it got to be a little bit too much when my mother got sick and I was trying to take care of her and the kids and the farm, and my husband was trying to work full time and take care of the farm, and it was starting to break our health. So we basically sold the farm and moved into town, and it wasn't for another 10 years before I started writing.
What prompted you to go in that direction? Were you always a storyteller and then just suddenly decided to put fingers to keyboard, or?
You know, yeah, I started writing when I was 7, and I wrote compulsively until I started to have children, and then I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
Now they're all grown, and I got sick again. And this time it was a fairly serious illness that got me to really thinking, you know, what are the things that I really wish I had done? I don't want to go to my grave with regrets, so I started writing. It was one thing I really wanted to do when I was a kid. I wanted to be a science fiction writer.
You have a rather peripatetic lifestyle now that you no longer, somebody else bought the farm, you just sold it. But recently you've lived in Pittsburgh for a while, and Pittsburgh seems to inspire a lot of folks. Are you planning to use it in some way in your sci-fi or in any of your other stories?
I don't have any plans for that, because my stories tend to take place on other worlds. I do have a short story set in a version of Pittsburgh facing the other way on a different planet. And is this unique in your fiction? Are most of your settings completely out of your head, combined? Because I heard today that you actually use star maps in charting your sci-fi. I use real stars. I use real stars that, at least to the best of my information at the time, can support habitable planets. Using things like NASA's database. I made a mistake with Beta Hydrae, which is the star that Tolar revolves around. So I kind of hurriedly patched that backwards with the planet that they're on has been terraformed.
Terraforming is a wonderful invention, isn't it? Helps a lot. What are you working on now?
I am working on a first contact story in the far future. How far is kind of vague, but it's pretty far. The planet is around Kepler 452, which is about 1,400 light years away from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's told from the point of view of a young alien, primitive hunter-gatherer who lives on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Who's just about to become an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And then Earthlings descend.
Oh, never a good scene. Never, never. You know it's going to get ugly.
Okay, this is not colonialism. I will say that. They didn't actually want to come down, but they are at war with somebody, and their shuttle got shot down.
Mm-hmm. And they bring all their mistakes with them.
They bring their turmoil with them, and you will get to find out who the gods of Kepler 452b really are.
Mm-hmm. And they're very, very, very human, oddly enough, yes. In many, many ways. We're coming up against the end of the interview, and we always give a freebie. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Maybe. My Talari are actually kind of phenotypically based on the American Plains Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And as a part of it, I donate 10% of sales from the Moran, the first novel,
mm-hmm.
to a Navajo charity.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you continue to do that?
I continue to do that. I haven't actually had an opportunity to donate anything because people aren't buying the book right now. So buy the book and I will donate.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Well, thank you for being here, Christie, and thank you for Buzzy Magazine.